Welcome back to my channel. In this video, we will talk about how to learn English in 15 minutes a day for 30 days. I used to think becoming fluent in English was impossible unless you could study for hours every single day. And that one belief kept me stuck for years. Between my crazy work schedule, my family, and just life, finding hours a day to study was a complete fantasy. So I basically gave up and resigned myself to being stuck at an intermediate level forever. I could survive, sure, but I was never ever confident. I was 100% sure that real fluency was a pipe dream. Then I started wondering, what if that all-or-nothing idea was the very thing holding me back? What if being consistent was more powerful than being intense? This led me to a crazy question. Could just 15 minutes of focused practice a day for 1 month actually make a real difference? Not 2 hours, not 1 hour, just 15 minutes. Honestly, it sounded way too good to be true. So I decided to become my own guinea pig. For 30 days, I committed to a strict 15-minute daily English routine. I had to know if this tiny, manageable amount of time could finally get me off that plateau. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact plan I used. What worked even better than I thought, what was a complete waste of time, and the insane results of my 30-day experiment. You need to stick around, because what I discovered might just completely change how you think about learning English. Before we get into the 30-day plan, let me show you where I was starting from. On paper, my English was probably what you'd call upper intermediate. I could handle normal conversations, write work emails without having a complete panic attack, and I could understand most of a news article or TV show if I had subtitles. But that's where it ended. I'd been stuck on that plateau for years, and the frustration was real. My biggest struggle was speaking. My brain would literally just freeze. Whenever I tried to explain a complex idea, it was like all the right words were locked in a vault, and I couldn't find the key. I'd get stuck trying to find the perfect word, my sentences would be super clunky, and I'd end up using the same simple words over and over again. It was maddening because I knew I had more to say, but the words just wouldn't come out. This fear of sounding dumb kept me silent in meetings and made me scared to even try talking to native speakers. Listening was another huge weakness. Sure, I could follow a slow, super clear podcast made for learners, but a real-world situation, a group of native speakers talking fast, a movie full of slang, a bad phone connection. I was instantly lost. I was great at just letting the language wash over me, but terrible at actually processing what people were saying in real time. My vocabulary had also completely flatlined. I'd learn new words, but they would just sit in my brain. I could recognize them, but I could never ever actually use them when I spoke. They didn't feel like my words. This created a horrible cycle. I felt like the only way to get better was to study for insane amounts of time, hours and hours of grammar drills. But because I didn't have those hours, I did nothing. My all-or-nothing mindset meant that most days, I chose nothing. I was convinced that if I couldn't do it the right way, there was no point. That's when I discovered the idea that sparked this entire experiment, the power of small, consistent habits. Language experts kept saying that daily focused practice, even for a short time, is way more effective than studying for hours once a month. Your brain builds stronger connections through repetition. It's like going to the gym. You'll get stronger lifting a weight you can handle every day than trying to lift a crazy heavy one once a month. That was my light bulb moment. Maybe I didn't need 4 hours. Maybe all I needed was 15 minutes and an incredible plan. So I decided to put that theory to the ultimate test. Section 2, the 30-day plan. All right. This is the core of the entire experiment. The exact 15-minute routine I followed every single day for 30 days. No, days off. The plan was built on one non-negotiable rule: consistency over intensity. It didn't matter if I was tired, busy, or just not feeling it. I had to show up for my 15 minutes. Committing to the daily habit was everything. Here's the breakdown of my 15 minutes. Pillar 1, active listening, 4 minutes. The goal here wasn't just to hear English. It was to actually understand it. My tools. I used a bunch of things to keep it from getting boring. My favorites were short podcasts like 6-Minute English from the BBC, TED-Ed videos on topics I was actually into, and short news clips. The absolute key was finding short content that had a transcript or English subtitles. My method. This was a 2-step process. For the first 2 minutes, I would listen to the clip without any text. I just focused on getting the main idea. I wasn't trying to catch every word, just the big picture. Then, for the next 2 minutes, I'd listen to the same clip again, but this time with the subtitles on. This is where the magic happened. My brain started connecting the sounds I heard with the words on the screen. I was literally dissecting the language instead of just letting it wash over me. Pillar 2, focused speaking, 5 minutes. The most important pillar. This was the part I was dreading, but I knew it was the only way to break my plateau. That fear of speaking holds everyone back, so I had to attack it. My main technique, shadowing. This technique is an absolute game changer for fluency, I'm not even kidding. I'd take a 1-minute segment from the audio I just listened to. I'd play one sentence, pause it, and then repeat it out loud, trying to copy the speaker's exact pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation. I wasn't just saying words. I was copying the music of the language. It feels super weird at first, but it's like building muscle memory for your mouth. I did this for about 3 minutes. My second technique, the topical monologue. After shadowing, I'd spend the last 2 minutes just talking to myself about the topic of the audio clip. The only rule was to never stop talking. I didn't care if I made mistakes or if my grammar was terrible. The goal was to force my brain to think in English and just get comfortable talking. Pillar 3, targeted reading, 4 minutes. The point of this was to see new vocabulary and grammar in real life. My tools. I used apps like BBC News, read short articles on Medium, or blogs about things I actually like tech or cooking. The material had to be interesting, or it would feel like a chore. My method. I'd spend 4 minutes reading one short article. My rule was to never stop and look up every single word. Instead, I forced myself to guess the meaning from context, which is a massive real-world skill. While reading, I'd highlight 2 or 3 new words or phrases that seemed genuinely useful, things I could actually imagine myself saying. Pillar 4, vocabulary and reflection, 2 minutes. This final part was all about making the new vocabulary stick. My method. I'd take the 2 or 3 things I highlighted from my reading. I got a physical notebook. Writing things down helps you remember, and wrote them down. But here's the secret sauce. I didn't just write the word and its definition. I wrote a sentence using the new word that was true for my life. For example, if the word was streamline, I'd write, I need to streamline my morning routine to save time. This creates a personal connection and makes the word active in your brain. The final minute. Reflection. In the last minute, I'd write down one sentence about my session. What was hard? What was easy? Did I get a small win? Something like, speaking felt so awkward today, or I understood that whole clip without subtitles. This simple act of reflection helped me see my progress and kept me going, and that's it. 4 pillars, 15 minutes. It was a short, intense burst of active learning, but it was so manageable I could do it every single day. Okay, so that's the exact blueprint I followed for 30 insane days. It's simple, but it's incredibly focused. If you're finding this plan helpful and maybe even thinking of trying it, do me a favor and slam that like button. It really helps the channel and tells me you want more practical guides like this one. And while you're at it, comment below right now. What is the single biggest thing holding you back in your English learning? Time? Motivation? Fear? I want to know. Section 3. The Journey. Week-by-week breakdown. Having a plan is one thing, but actually sticking to it for 30 days is a whole different battle. The journey was an absolute roller coaster, with insane frustration, small wins, and some genuine breakthroughs. Here's how it all went down. Week 1, the awkward beginning. Week 1 was, without a doubt, the hardest. Those 15 minutes, which sounded so short, felt surprisingly long. The first few days of talking to myself felt so weird. I was so self-conscious, even with no one listening. My voice was quiet, my pronunciation felt terrible, and my monologues were mostly just painful pauses and a lot of ums and ahs. I also wasted time finding the right materials. On day 2, I picked a podcast that was way too hard, and I understood literally nothing. It was so discouraging. I learned fast that you have to pick content that's just a little bit challenging, but not so hard that you want to quit. By day 5, though, something clicked. The routine started feeling like a habit. I even started to look forward to it. I habit-stacked my English practice with my morning coffee. I'd make my coffee and then immediately do my 15 minutes. No excuses. I started a no 0 days policy. I was not going to skip a single day no matter what. That consistency started to build momentum. The first tiny win came on day 7. I was doing my listening practice and realized I had understood an entire 1-minute news clip on the first try, without any subtitles. It was a small victory, but it felt huge. It was the first real proof that this crazy experiment was actually working. Week 2. Finding my rhythm by. The second week, the routine was clicking. The awkwardness of talking to myself started to disappear. This week, I added a small but powerful change. I started recording my monologues on my phone. Listening back to myself was painful. I heard every mistake, every hesitation, every time I overused a word. But it was also incredibly useful. It gave me a clear picture of my weaknesses. I could hear that I was pronouncing 3 like tree, for example, and I could consciously fix it the next day. This is also when I started to see the compounding effect of daily practice. Things began to connect. A phrasal verb I read in an article on Monday would show up in a podcast on Wednesday. Then on Friday, I'd actually use it in my monologue. It was wild. My brain was building a network of knowledge, not just collecting random facts. To make things even more connected, I started using a theme of the day. If I listened to a video about renewable energy, I'd then speak about it, find an article on it, and learn vocabulary related to it. This made the whole session feel way more cohesive. I had a crazy moment on day 12. I was shadowing a speaker with a really fast rhythm. For the first few tries, I just couldn't keep up. But then, on the 5th or 6th try, I nailed it. For one whole sentence, I matched his intonation, his pauses, everything. It was a tiny moment, but it felt like unlocking a new level in a video game. Week 3. The breakthroughs week 3 is where the magic really started to happen. The results from my private practice sessions started spilling over into my real life. This is when I knew this experiment was a massive success. I have 2 crystal clear memories from this week. First, during a work video call, I wanted to say that we needed to develop an idea further. Without even thinking, the phrase, "we need to flesh out this idea a bit more," just came out of my mouth. Flesh out was a phrasal verb I had learned from an article the week before. It came out so naturally. That feeling of using new, advanced vocabulary without even trying was an incredible confidence boost. The second breakthrough happened while watching a movie. There was a fast, witty joke between two characters, and I got it. I laughed at the exact same time as the characters, not a second later after reading the subtitles. My brain was just processing English faster. I was starting to actually think in English. My vocabulary notebook was also becoming a source of pride. It was filling up with words I was actually using. My speaking monologues got way more sophisticated. I was no longer just describing things. I was explaining, arguing, and speculating. By the final week, the 15-minute routine was completely automatic. It wasn't a challenge anymore. It was just part of my day, like brushing my teeth. It felt weird if I didn't do it. During this week, I started playing with the format. One day, I had a big presentation coming up, so I spent the entire 15 minutes just practicing my opening out loud. Another day, I found a fascinating long article, so I dedicated the whole session to just reading. The framework was a guide, not a prison. I adapted it to what I needed. The biggest change by the end of the month was my mindset. I had finally defeated the all-or-nothing beast. I now understood that small daily deposits in the language bank compound into huge returns. The compounding effect was real. My confidence had totally transformed. Before, I would literally avoid speaking English. By the end of week 4, I was looking for those situations. I was the one asking questions in meetings. The fear wasn't completely gone, but it wasn't in the driver's seat anymore. My confidence was. This 30-day journey didn't just improve my English. It changed my entire relationship with the language. So, after 30 days and a grand total of only 7.5 hours of focused study, what were the actual results? Did this 15-minute-a-day thing really work? The answer was a massive, definite yes. The changes were real, and they were way bigger than I expected. Insane speaking fluency. This was the biggest change by far. That great hesitation I had, it's pretty much gone. I can find words so much faster, and my speech is just more fluid. The daily monologues forced my brain to build those faster connections. On top of that, shadowing worked miracles for my rhythm and intonation. I sound more natural and less robotic. Next-level listening comprehension. I can now comfortably follow natural conversations that would have destroyed me a month ago. That daily active listening trained my ear to catch the flow of real-world speech. Huge active vocabulary. I wrote down about 75 new words and phrases in my notebook. But the real win isn't the number. It's that these are words I can actually use. Because I forced myself to put them in my own sentences, they became part of my active vocabulary. I've caught myself using them in emails without even thinking about it. Faster reading. I got way better and faster at reading articles. I spend less time getting stuck on unknown words because I've gotten better at guessing from context. My confidence went through the roof. This is the single biggest transformation. I am not afraid to speak anymore. The daily, low-stakes practice took the fear out of making mistakes. I proved to myself in private that I could do it. And that confidence creates a positive feedback loop. The more confident I feel, the more I speak, and the more I speak, the better I get. A complete mindset shift. I finally destroyed the all-or-nothing trap. I now know that progress is made in small, consistent steps, not giant leaps. That realization is so liberating. It means even on my busiest days I can still move forward. I've replaced I don't have time with I can find 15 minutes. Sustainable motivation. Seeing real progress is the best motivation there is. This created a learning system that runs on the power of habit, not on random bursts of inspiration. What worked best and what I'd change. Looking back, a few things were unbelievably effective. The shadowing technique. This is non-negotiable. It is absolutely essential for improving how you sound and how fluently you speak. Thematic days. Connecting all 4 activities with one topic made the learning stick so much better. Personalized sentences. Writing my own sentences for new words was the key to actually being able to use them. If I did it again, what would I change? I'd be more careful about picking materials in week 1. I wasted a couple of days on content that was too hard, and it was a huge blow to my motivation. I would have recorded my speaking from day 1. Having that day 1 recording to compare with day 30 would have been an even more powerful and dramatic way to see the progress. This 15-minute routine isn't a magic pill. It won't make you fluent overnight. It takes discipline. But it is a powerful and incredibly efficient system for making real, measurable progress. It proves you don't need to put your life on hold to get better at English. You just need 15 minutes. Conclusion and final CTA. So, what's the final takeaway from all this? Fluency isn't a destination you reach after some heroic 8-hour-a-day study marathon. It's not about massive, unsustainable effort. Fluency is built. It's built with small, smart, and consistent actions that add up over time. For years, I thought my problem was a lack of time, but the real barrier was my mindset. This challenge proved to me that you don't need to quit your job or move to another country. You don't have to sacrifice your entire social life. You just need 15 minutes, and I know you have 15 minutes. This simple plan, 4 minutes of listening, 5 of speaking, 4 of reading, and 2 of review, is a system that works. It's manageable, it's effective, and it creates a positive cycle of progress and motivation. So here is my challenge to you. Try it for 30 days. Steal this plan, tweak it, make it your own, but commit to just 15 minutes a day. And if you take on this challenge, come back to this video in a month and leave a comment telling me how it went. I genuinely want to hear your story. If you found this experiment valuable and want more insane language learning challenges, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's next. Thanks so much for watching.